Let's get started. I have to tell you that this is not something that is pleasant for me to talk about. I love our university, this California State University. My kids went there. I went there, but this is in fact a dark day for the CSU, particularly the Stanislaus campus. I never thought that I would have to relive Watergate again. But to some extent, this is our little Watergate here in the state of California. Let me share with you a little bit of the chronology of the different steps along the way, and then I'm going to introduce those two ladies who has really sparked this particular issue even much greater than I ever imagined. And then Terry Frank will talk about it and conclude this particular press conference. This is an issue of accountability and transparency. It's an issue that is very fundamental to our democracy. When you have individuals in the state of California that are deceiving the people of California and obfuscating exactly what's going on, we are in deep trouble. Our democracy is in trouble. The only way that you in the press and other individuals in the state of California knows what's going on is that you have information. That's the core principle of holding all of us accountable. And what we're finding at CSU Stanislaus is that they have just simply thrown those principles out the window, and they have shredded it, and hopefully I think for them, they want it to just simply disappear. Several weeks ago, we found out that former Governor Sarah Palin was going to visit the CSU Stanislaus campus for the sole purpose of trying to raise money for students, either in terms of scholarship or to help the administration by looking at some endowment for professorships and so on. All those are laudable goals. You know, we need to provide even more money for our students. We need to do what we can to help the CSU in the state of California. So when that event came about, we just simply asked, well, what are the terms and conditions of that particular visit? And the response that we got from the CSU and the foundation was that it was none of your business. And here was an activity that was supposedly going to help our student, and it was none of our business. Here was an activity that was going to help our university, and they said that it was none of our business. And so we put in a request. We just simply said, well, just let us know. Based on the California Public Records Act, we just simply want to know. And the response was that, well, we don't have any information on that particular issue whatsoever. The CSU said that they had no information whatsoever. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, we kind of operate at some level of trust here. And we simply said, okay, if you don't have that information, we'll try to figure out how we may still be able to get it. And lo and behold, on a furlough Friday, when you would think that nobody's around, we then hear from two ladies here that, in fact, not only were individuals around, but they were shredding documents. They were shredding and throwing away documents. The documents that they basically said that they did not have. The administration, when we asked them based on the California Public Records Act, we asked them for documents that related to the Palin visit. They said they didn't have it. And then yet a couple of days later, these students found those documents that the university said that they never had. How in the world do we operate here in the state of California when you have officials, and these are not just simple line officials, you know, these are administrators, basically saying that, well, why don't we just simply throw away the California Public Records Act? Why don't we throw away this notion that the people needs to know and we just throw it in the garbage can, and we will shred that document, and hopefully nobody will know. That is something that is unconscionable. That is something that is reprehensible. These are teachers and educators, and God knows what they're teaching our students in the classroom. Are they now telling all of our students to just flaunt the First Amendment, flaunt accountability, flaunt transparency? Is that what they teach in our classroom? Well, that's what they're doing right now at CSU, at Stanislaus. And I just can't imagine something like this happening in California when we are supposedly so enlightened, so responsible, so cutting edge about doing the right thing. And so I just wanted to thank these two young ladies for stepping up to the plate. I know it's not easy. There are many, many times when you look in the course of history where individuals put themselves at risk. These are young ladies who are at the beginning of their academic career, at the beginning of their professional career. And I would imagine that the administration has their names now, and they know who they are, they know what they're going to be saying, and they are going to probably be saying some things that are not too kind to the administration. So for them to do this, my hat goes off to them. I hope that the administration understands this loud and clear. I will not allow any retaliation against these two individuals and other individuals that are related to that. If I have to call all of the administration, including the chancellor, including the presidents of all the CSU, before the state capitol to explain exactly how these things are going and how individuals are being treated, I will do that. I will ask for subpoenas if they refuse to somehow explain to us exactly what's going on and how they're going to deal with these students. This cannot continue. This cannot be allowed to happen, not here in the state of California, not so long as I'm a senator in the California State Senate. So with that, let me ask Ashley and Alicia to come by and to step to the podium and share with them, with all of you, what really happened.
So on Friday, April 9th, I'm sorry, my name is Ashley Briggs. On Friday, April 9th, I was informed that there was suspicious activity taking place on a furlough Friday at CSU Stanislaus. When I found out about this information, I was informed that administrators were destroying documents, and once I found that out and found it very alarming, I notified Alicia, who then took it and she did what came next. So I'll turn it over to her.
Great. Hello, my name's Alicia Lewis, and like Ashley Briggs said, she notified me of what was going on at our campus, and so myself and several other students decided to go look around and see what was taking place. When we pulled up, we noticed that there was several staff cars parked out there outside the administrative building, and we looked around and saw that there was activity inside the closed and gated building. We saw a student taking out garbage into the dumpsters out there, and we just started walking around and looking to see if we noticed any other, anything else suspicious. We opened the dumpster that had, and it had paper documents in there that were related to the university. And so we ended up taking those documents out, and they're the ones that are on the table in front of us. And in it was all university paperwork mixed in with stuff labeled from the foundation from our campus. After going through the documents, we ended up finding pages 4 through 9 of the Sarah Palin contract that our school said that they didn't have. And it was mixed right in with all the university paperwork that we pulled out of the dumpster. And so at this point, we made the contacts to see what we need to do to turn the paperwork in, and we are choosing to turn it over to the AG's office for investigation.
Let me ask then Terry Frank, who also had submitted a public records request for documents out of both the university and the foundation, and he will conclude.
Well, thank you, Senator. Just to run back a week or so, Californians aware in looking at the case law, which supports the university's position in saying that records of a foundation at a CSU campus are not subject to the Public Records Act, we concluded that that decision, as far as it went at the time, might be correctly decided, but that things since then and a different argument might well set that decision aside, or at least call it deeply into question. And so our plan is, and was a week ago, that if the university persisted in its argument that it had no records concerning the Palin invitation, to file suit in Stanislaus County Superior Court under the Public Records Act to seek those documents. We put in our written request a week ago yesterday, on a Monday, and got back the pro forma statement from an officer in the president's office stating that they had no records responsive to our request, to us leaving a bit of ambiguity about what they were really saying. And so I emailed the person who had made this statement, the compliance officer in the president's office, and said, are you really saying that the university has no records concerning the Palin visit? And I got in response to that a bounce back announcement that that officer is going to be on a mandatory furlough of 3 days and wouldn't be available until the following Monday. 2 days later, on Thursday, I think, the press headlines around the state reported what Senator Yee had announced, that is, that he was asking the Attorney General to investigate this situation. And the very next day, a furlough Friday, had these people in the office, in the financial services office of the university, sorting through documents, shredding some, and discarding others. These are the documents, a sample of which was found by the students. So we are likely to file suit to pursue the legal question sometime this week, but we want to see what may develop as far as any announcement by the Attorney General concerning a possible investigation. But our purpose would be hopefully to get a court decision that regards these documents as university documents and not simply foundation documents, because there is such a tight interlacing of the functions, not just the practical day-to-day functions, but the official duties of university officers and the operations of the foundation, that we think that, particularly under Proposition 59, which requires access laws to be read broadly, that the foundation, by and large, is a state agency subject to the California Public Records Act. Thank you very much.
All right, with that, I'm sure that if you have any questions, the students here, and Terry Frank and I.
Can I ask the two students just a little bit about how it happened? So first of all, did you, the documents, the pages 4 through 9, are they on university letterhead or foundation letterhead?
Oh, the pages 4 through 9, they're on the Washington Speakers Bureau letterhead.
And were they intact, or did you have to piece them together as shredded?
They're fully intact, and they're in the press packet, I believe.
Has someone gone through the shredded stuff?
We went through, well, we didn't like sort through. I mean, you can see how much there is, and we're students, we don't have that much time. But we looked through just, handling the bags and seeing, and we saw several times the date of March 2010 on there, so we knew that there was recent paperwork that was shredded. What was on that paperwork, we don't know, but we noticed the date as well on there. So we knew that it wasn't something from, a long time ago that was being shredded.
Did you find anything that had Sarah Palin's name on it? I noticed the contract just says the speaker. There's nothing that says Sarah Palin itself, or did you find anything?
There was nothing on that paperwork, that's pages 4 through 9, that have it, but with considering the nature of the event, the date, the company that's hosting it has been publicized that they're the ones that are coming to our campus, and also the locations of the event for the flights and stuff was on the paperwork.
Government or the newspaper?
Somebody's running the Blackberries off or phones, anything like that?
Leland or Terry or
Somebody's black
cell phone.
Okay. Or the newspaper, campus newspaper?
No, we're not.
Why were you on the alert for all this?
We just had, with everything going on our campus was in a big upheaval at the moment. And just when you have students that are concerned, that want to remain anonymous, and they're confiding in you, it's hard to walk away when they have such legitimate concerns.
What actually caused you guys, what was your motivation to actually go over there and go through the documents? Were you worried that they would catch you doing it? Can you just kind of describe your motivation there?
I think you can better answer.
The motivation behind the group of students who went through the dumpsters was that we knew something was going on. How this information was informed to us, we knew that this was a reliable source, and this wasn't something that we were just going to sit and be left behind. Whether they knew, the students who investigated the dumpsters, whether they knew what exactly they were going to find, is no one knows, but clearly we knew that something was not right. They were there on a furlough Friday, and it was shredding of documents.
And had you two already had concerns about sort of the contract surrounding Palin's visit? I mean, was Sarah Palin's upcoming speech there something that was already raising concern about the fact that they wouldn't reveal contract details? And had you been reading about that in the press?
Yes, we actually had been talking about it between ourselves, and we decided that we were really interested in the transparency that's lacking from the CSU Stanislaus Foundation. And that was our main purpose, was we wanted to seek transparency. And we found an ally with Senator Yee who gave us the correct resources and told us how we could seek that kind of information. And so that's what we did. And it just happened to coincide with the Sarah Palin event.
Are you expecting retaliation, either one of you, from?
Whoever's got their phone under the mic, please remove it.
Just turn it off.
Are either of you expecting retaliation from the university?
I wouldn't put it past that being a possibility, considering there have been, we've considered our activism so far with involvement with all of this. You hear at the school gossip, and you hear, stuff that students talk about, and other students who have been active on pursuing change from the administration have, acknowledged that they have been feeling threatened, or that they feel that their student status is in jeopardy. And so, we're hoping that they'll eventually come forward and address those concerns. So, considering that other students feel that they've gone through that, we wouldn't put it past that happening, which is, really kind of questions the integrity of your administration if your students are scared of them. So.
Where did you find the documents as opposed to the unshredded documents?
They were all in the same bin, so we just took them all. That was everything that was there.
How many?
Are you guys part of like Young Democrats or any part of like any student organization or?
No, we're not officially part of anything right now.
Well, how did whoever saw what was going on at the school know to call you?
They're friends or acquaintances, so that's
well, why
how they
did they
knew.
call you?
Just as a confidant. I mean, Ashley can explain since that was somebody she talked with.
The reason why we were notified was because people know that students on campus know that we have an interest in this and that we are seeking this from the foundation. And so there's only so many, when you have information, there's only so many people that you can contact, especially people who are active in this sort of issue and who will use those resources to the best of their ability.
So you think it's just coincidence that this happens to coincide with the Sarah Palin event as opposed to Saul Alinsky or some other speaker?
Correct.
It's just a
It's just a coincidence that what was found in those documents was the Sarah Palin contract. I mean, who expected to go into a dumpster and find intact the Sarah Palin contract? No one expected that.
Leland, what's the big deal here? You know, the universities, CSU and UC, bring out big name speakers all the time and pay them. So what's...
You know, the issue is not about Sarah Palin, whether or not we're bringing Sarah Palin out. The issue is not about the fact that you have a foundation that's trying to raise money for, you know, for good purposes, you know, trying to endow a professorship, trying to get scholarships. And stuff. It's the way in which we do business. You know, I would like to basically in Sacramento say, I don't have to tell the press anything that I do. You know, just trust me. You know, I'm going to vote the right way, and I'm going to do the best that I can do for California in my district. But what I do and how I do it, I don't need to share that with you. But that's not how we work. I mean, we're in California. We're here in the United States. You know, the principles of our government and all of our public institution is about openness, about accountability, about transparency. So how can you hold me accountable? How do we hold the CSU foundations accountable if you don't know what's going on, if they won't tell you what's going on? That's what is the problem. I mean, there's been some suggestions that when the money does in fact roll into a foundation, how do we know that it goes to a scholarship? How do we know it goes into an endowment? It was just a couple months ago that someone donated money to endow a professorship at a CSU. And for the last 3 years, the money's been sitting at a foundation, and no one knows as to exactly when that endowment's going to happen, when the money's going to be used for that endowment. And so it's the lack of that kind of transparency that is so critical about holding people accountable as to how the dollars are being used. That's what the issue is all about.
But isn't it private donations to the foundations?
It is a private donation. It is a donation to a private institution. It's been suggested that because they are a private foundation, that they are not subject to the Public Records Act. The reason why I asked the Attorney General to really look into this particular matter is that, as Terry Frank says, the location of that foundation is in public property. It is in the CSU administration building. The website, the telephone, the emails of the foundation rests within a public institution. The staffing for the foundation is all in the staffing of the university. So the linkage between those two entities is absolutely intertwined to one another. It is almost as if I had my fundraising operation right inside, you know, my Capitol office, and then I would say, well, you know, they're really separate. You know, nobody would believe it in here. You wouldn't believe me about it. So why are we believing it about CSU Stanislaus? That's the problem. There is, in fact, a smoking gun out there. It is so smoking that it's burning out there, and they somehow don't even see the smoke. They don't smell the smoke. They don't see the fire, but everybody else around them, these students see it, and that's the problem that we have over at CSU Stanislaus. Nobody gets it. Nobody understands it. They think that they're in some other world where they can do whatever they damn well please, and that's not going to happen on my watch. It's not going to happen on these students' watch. It's not going to happen on any's watch, because that's not how we do business here in the state of California.
Senator, have you had any outside of the letters that you've sent and requests that you've made, have you had actual conversations, phone conversations with folks at Stanislaus, with Chancellor Reed of the CSU system? Have you, can you give me some sense of how you're pursuing this?
Well, we've been pursuing it by putting out a public records request. Senator Denham did in fact bring the president of the foundation up to meet with me. He's a nice guy, but I don't think he gets it. You know, I don't think he gets the fact that when you operate in this public arena, you've got to publicly disclose what's going on. You know, he's trying to level best to help the students, to help the university. You know, I truly believe that. But beyond that, in terms of understanding his responsibility as president of foundation, doing the public's work, handling this particular activity of being the chair of this particular foundation, I don't think he understands the responsibility. I don't think he understands ramification. Clearly, he doesn't understand this notion of transparency and accountability.
Why did you make the original request, and have you made any other requests of any other UC or CSU institutions with regards to any other speakers and their fees?
I think that's a good question. We've been having, we've been working very, very hard with both the CSUs and the UCs in opening up the operations of the foundation so that it is public, that there is transparency and there's accountability. We've been, each time we've tried that, each time there's been efforts to just simply shut us down. And so over the years, we've been rather conscious about all of the problems within the different foundation. It is only recently that this Sarah Palin visit came up, and that's why we were going after the issue of her contract and what was being paid within that particular contract. So it is that coincidence that brings us to the Sarah Palin. If it were someone else, we would have raised the same issue. You know, because of the, I think, concern about are we being partisan about it, we've looked up a number of other individuals who have spoken at campuses, both the CSUs and the UC. In the case of Mrs. Obama, who spoke at UC Merced, she came and spoke. She did not charge. In the case of former President Clinton, who spoke at UC Berkeley, he didn't charge. So the issue for us is not about who it is and what is the purpose. It is merely about the openness and the accountability and the transparency of the operation. That's what we're really getting at.
But it's not just speaking fees, right? I mean, you have concerns about loans and other activity at the foundation does. Can you speak to that other concerns?
Well, on that particular matter, you know, we have, you know, part of the reason why we are concerned about the foundation is that they do, while it's been suggested that these are private entity and that they really don't impact the public whatsoever or any public resources, we beg to differ. We beg to differ, and I think I've laid it out in terms of the relationship between the foundation and CSU Stanislaus. We had a situation over in Sonoma where you had a board member who, after you, trying to get a loan while a board member, council advised that's a conflict of interest. He gets off of the foundation board, and he gets a sweetheart loan. And then he defaults on that loan, and guess what? It is foundation money that is needed then to bail out that particular loan problem. Then we have a problem over at Cal State Sacramento, where there again a foundation bought real property, and the property foreclosed, and now we had to use public money, administration money of Sac State to then bail out that particular problem. Because of the sort of rather blatant use of public fund to take care of that private entity, that private real estate transaction, the Attorney General is looking at that particular matter. And so we've had these kinds of situations. And then, you know, closer to home in my own city, you know, we have a former chancellor who's indicted. He's indicted because he used foundation money for his own particular personal purposes. You have a situation down in San Jose where you had a former president of that particular community college, using all kinds of money for her own personal purposes or her lavish lifestyle out of foundation money. So what we're finding is that more and more of these foundations, there are some rather unethical and maybe illegal things that are going on that no one knows about until it hits the press. If we can somehow get some transparency, get some oversight on that, then maybe some of these problems will not occur.
Mr. Yee, going back to follow up his question, just in regards to this being Palin, and she's such a polarizing figure nationally, internationally, it just seems somewhat coincidental that this would come up and that her name would be being used to sort of grab this attention. Well, and you're saying it's not at all because of Palin. It could have been anybody. But it just seems odd that the timing is.
And I give you that point. I mean, I can't help it. I mean, it's just so happened that it happened to her, that she's the invitee. As I said, if it were any other individual, we would be going after them for the same purpose, which is give us the information, give us the accountability, give us the transparency. I mean, at UC San Francisco, we had a situation where, and this is in my own hometown, within my district, where we had UC San Francisco signing a secrecy clause to their audit contract. Can you imagine that? And didn't matter if it was within my district or outside my district. We crafted a bill to basically say you can't do that. No public institution can have these secrecy clause with any of your vendors whatsoever. So, I would beg to differ that this is personal or this is ideological or this is partisan. This is about how we do business in the state of California. I don't think that any institution, public institution, can in fact skirt this primary sense of how we do business, which is to be open and transparent.
Senator, you said that the foundation headquarters are located in the administration building on campus. Is there any way of knowing on Friday when these activities were taking place where in the building these documents were coming out of? Was it the foundation headquarters? Was it some university-controlled office separate from the foundation? Is there any way of knowing that?
You guys want to answer that?
I mean, if it's all coming out of the same building.
They utilize almost all the same staff.
Okay.
And then looking through the paperwork, it shows that the CSU seal, and it's showing that it's from our financial service and business service departments. So, and that's what was all, compiled. So we assume that's exactly where departments it's coming from, since that's the letterhead.
So the documents have a seal from the university on them?
Like our headers, and then our round seal, and it says CSU Stanislaus, and then it usually shows the departments and stuff.
Which documents? Because earlier we were talking about the Speakers Bureau documents. I'm just trying to understand what you're talking about. What documents?
Just the different, there's different budget paperwork, and there's just different other documents that are in there that have...
all in the same thing?
They have, there's just different paperwork all mixed together, and so some of those did have our financial services seals on those.
But the Palin documents did not. They had a Washington Press Bureau or something?
Speakers Bureau.
Speakers Bureau, yes. Yeah.
Now that these documents are out and the pieces of document, what would you like to see, this is for both students, what would you like to see happen with these documents and with, where do you think things should go next?
I think ultimately it comes down to foundations on campuses throughout the state having transparency. When somebody donates money to our schools, they're doing it in good faith, that it's going to students, it's going to faculty, and it's going to programs that they support. And until we know what they're doing with that donated money, we can't really have a conversation on whether or not they're doing ethical things or unethical things with those donations. So.
Can you guys give your ages, please, to two students? Go ahead. I am a junior at CSU Stanislaus, and I'm 23 years old.
Hi, I'm a senior, and I'm 26.
And what are you studying?
Political science.
We both are political science majors.
Ashley, did you want to answer that question also about what you want?
Basically the same thing that Alicia said. We just want to hold people accountable. This is our campus. What can you do if you're not holding people accountable? And unfortunately, there's no way to know right now if ethical things are happening or unethical things are happening. But what we seek is transparency. We want to know what's going on. This is our campus. It's California's campus, and all Californians deserve to know what is going on.
And how did you guys get the idea to contact the senator about this?
We read the news and you can see who's advocating for different educational issues, and considering that it was, there wasn't just the two of us involved. We have people who are remaining anonymous, but they still have the same firm groundings on, finding resources and who do we seek out to, best advocate on what we're trying to do. And I'd say all of us feel that if we're not standing up in some way for our schools, we have to try and find the limited resources we have of those people that have the access, that have the ability to call press conferences like this to be able to get attention to these issues.
Did either of you have any prior relationship with him, like do an internship or anything like that?
Nothing, no.
How many students were involved in the actual, digging through the dumpsters?
There was about 5 of us, so.
And the rest are the ones choosing to remain anonymous, the others?
Right.
Senator, do we have any other cases of speakers making large sums of money that you're also investigating or looking at?
No, it hasn't come to our attention, but I will tell you, if it comes to our attention, we will then ask, and we will and ask for that particular disclosure.
And where did the $100,000 figure come from that was estimated in the press handout?
We still don't know exactly how much she's being paid. I think that out of the truncated document on the contract, there are different provisos, for her to come. But in terms of the dollar amount, we don't know. We're suspecting that it's about $100,000 because of some previous reporting of previous speaking engagement that she's had.
Okay, guys, Aaron's going to pick this up, so we can take questions outside if you want.
Okay, and I understand that there are some press on the telephone. We will be available for questions, the students, to Frank and myself, at our office, and you can call us at 916-651-4008 and ask for Adam Cakeman. Thank you.